My parents had the funds to cover my sister's lavish wedding, but insisted I take out loans for life-saving heart surgery. Years later, they showed up at my door, desperate, with nowhere else to turn. My name is Ferdinand. I'm 28 now, and I've spent most of my life with a defective heart. Born with a congenital condition, I grew up under strict medical supervision. I was the kid who couldn't join in rough games, couldn't push myself too hard, and always carried medication, even during school breaks. My childhood wasn't without affection, but it was overshadowed by constant anxiety. Not about me, but about how my illness burdened my parents. They seemed more concerned with how it disrupted their lives than how it shaped mine. Meanwhile, my older sister, Clarissa, was their golden child. She was flawless in their eyes, beautiful, charming, and academically brilliant. She was pampered beyond measure. Family trips were planned around her commitments, parties were designed to suit her tastes, and when she turned 17, they bought her a car outright. I never even got a ride in it. They claimed she deserved it, while I was told to focus on managing my health. I swallowed my frustration, buried it deep, and concentrated on my studies, my love for tech, and carving out a quiet life. I earned a scholarship, landed a good IT job, and moved out at 23. I was proud of my independence. I didn't ask for much from them until I had no choice. 3 years ago, a routine checkup brought devastating news I'd always dreaded. My heart was failing. I needed open heart surgery, not optional, but critical. Without it, I had maybe 2 years, possibly less. The moment didn't hit like a loud crash. It was more like the world went silent, as if someone had muted my reality. Terrified and humiliated, I called my parents. I hated asking for help, but the surgery, even with insurance, would crush me financially. So, in a cold hospital room, voice trembling, I laid it all bare. They came the next day, seeming supportive at first, until we talked about money. My father coughed awkwardly. "Ferdinand, we're proud of how independent you've been, but we can't afford this right now." I was stunned. "But you just paid for Clarissa's wedding. You flew dozens of people to Italy. That must have cost a fortune." Dad shrugged. "That was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. We promised her that for years." My mother added, "She's building her future, dear. You're resilient. You've always managed." It felt like a punch to an already open wound. They left soon after, promising to keep me in their thoughts. So I managed. I drained my savings, maxed out credit cards, took out loans with brutal interest rates, and relied on friends, not family, for support. A colleague I hardly knew launched a crowdfunding page. A neighbor drove me to appointments. Meanwhile, Clarissa posted wedding pictures online, gushing about her perfect week with hashtags like Aksha Malfi Magic. I survived the surgery, but recovery was grueling. I couldn't work for nearly 6 months, almost lost my apartment, dropped 30 pounds, and wrestled with physical and emotional scars. My parents? Not one visit, not one call, not even a note. Clarissa sent a single text. "Hope you're doing okay. Let's reconnect soon." That was when something in me broke. I rebuilt my life, slowly, painfully. I returned to work, moved to a more affordable city, and bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood. My credit's still a mess from the loans, but I'm alive. I did it without them. Then, 2 weeks ago, the unimaginable happened. I opened my door to find my parents standing there, weary, clutching suitcases like stranded travelers. Apparently, Clarissa and her husband had overreached. She'd persuaded my parents to co-sign on a fancy downtown condo. Her husband's business collapsed, they defaulted on payments, and the bank came for everything. My parents lost their house. Their retirement savings wiped out. They had nowhere to go. They asked to stay with me. "Just temporarily," my mother said, her voice shaky. "We know we haven't always been there, but we're family." I was speechless. The people who let me sink financially when I was fighting for my life now stood here, asking for a roof over their heads, not out of love, but out of desperation. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I smiled, invited them in, and offered them tea. I asked about their drive. They relaxed, visibly relieved. Then I said, "I'm sorry, but you can't stay here." My mother looked shocked. "What?" "I don't have a guest room anymore," I said. "It's an office now, and a friend's staying on the couch for a few months, getting through chemo." I looked at my father. "You let me take out $50,000 in loans instead of helping me. So I guess we're square." My mother started crying. My dad's face hardened. "So that's it?" he said. "After all we've done for you?" I stood. "What you did was leave me to fend for myself when I was dying. What I'm doing is setting limits. You'll have to figure it out, like I did." I walked them to the door and closed it behind them. They sat in their car for a long time before driving off. I watched them leave and felt nothing, until a voicemail came that night. Clarissa's voice was venomous. "You're a disgrace, Ferd. They're your parents. They sacrificed for you your whole life, and you're tossing them out like garbage? You're pathetic." I didn't reply. I blocked her number. Yet, part of me wonders, am I protecting myself or becoming as heartless as they were to me? For nearly a week after I turned them away, I heard nothing. No calls, no messages, just silence. I expected guilt or regret, but instead, I felt peace. For the first time, my home felt like mine, free of their shadow. I wasn't the overlooked kid anymore. That calm lasted 5 days. On the 6th, a voicemail came from an unfamiliar number. A man's voice, steady but somber. "Hello, Ferdinand. This is Pastor Gleason from Trinity Lutheran. Your parents are staying at our church shelter. Your mother gave us your number as a contact. I thought you should know." I listened twice, standing frozen in my kitchen, phone gripped tightly. I didn't even know they were religious. Now they were in a shelter? I wanted to feel detached, to shrug and say they deserved it. But a knot formed in my stomach, that old ache from childhood when I'd crave their attention and get only a dismissive gesture before they hurried to Clarissa's events. I didn't call the pastor back. But the next day I drove to the church. I don't know why. I told myself I just wanted to see, to make sure this wasn't another manipulative ploy. But deep down, I think I wanted closure. Or maybe just answers. I parked across the street and stayed in my car. The sunset cast a harsh orange glow over the scene. There they were, on a bench outside the church. My mom sat hunched, like she was shielding herself from an invisible storm. My dad stared at the ground, searching for something it couldn't give. They looked diminished. Not the towering figures who once dominated my world, not the people who called my illness an inconvenience while spending thousands on wedding decorations. Just two tired, broken people who backed the wrong child and lost everything. I didn't get out of the car. I couldn't. I watched for 15 minutes, and as time passed, my anger began to dissolve. It wasn't replaced by forgiveness, not even close. It was understanding. They weren't evil. They were selfish, maybe cowardly, and they didn't come to me out of care. They came because they were out of options. I drove home. That night, Clarissa called again. I didn't answer, but her voicemail was biting. "So, you're really letting our parents live in a shelter like stray animals? Are you for real? What kind of person does that? Just let them stay with you, damn it. You think you're so noble? You're no better than anyone else." She hung up abruptly. I listened once, then deleted it. It was clear now. They only reached out when they needed something, not when I was fighting for my life, not when I begged for help, not when I hit rock bottom. Only now, when they'd fallen. 2 days later, I returned to the church. This time I went inside and asked for Pastor Gleason. He was kind, warm in that slightly awkward way religious folks can be when navigating someone else's mess. "I want to give them something," I said. He looked surprised. "Of course, I can bring them in." "No," I said quickly. "Just give them this." I handed him a sealed envelope. Inside was a prepaid hotel voucher for 2 weeks, a list of social services and job agencies that could help, and a letter I'd written the night before. "You chose Clarissa. You made that clear time and again. I was dying, and you told me to handle it. So I did. This is temporary help. It's not forgiveness. It's not a reunion. It's the least I can do and still live with myself. After this, you're on your own. Don't come back. Don't contact me again. I'm not your son in the way you ever recognized. Ferdinand." The pastor read it quietly, then nodded. "You've done more than most would," he said. That night, I slept better than I had in years. No nightmares, no heaviness, just calm. A week later, a card arrived from the church, not from my parents. "Your parents have moved to a longer-term shelter program. They didn't say much, but we respected your request for privacy. We wish you healing." That was it. No tearful apology, no sudden epiphany from my parents, no storybook resolution. But also, no more pleading, no more guilt, no more hoping they'd become the parents I needed. Just freedom. I'm not proud of every feeling I had through this. The resentment, the detachment, the fleeting satisfaction of seeing them struggle. But I'm proud of one thing. I broke the pattern. I didn't let their neglect turn me into something cruel. I didn't become the villain they tried to paint me as. I gave them a lifeline, and I closed the door behind them.